The sound is wrong. It is not the familiar whooping call of the hyenas they know, the opportunistic scavengers that shadow their hunts. This is a deeper, more guttural sound, a chorus of cracking bone and rumbling growls that carries on the wind. It is the sound of a factory that processes meat. For the clan of 28 Homo erectus huddled on the rocky promontory, it is the sound of their world shrinking. The hunters have found another kill, a half-grown hippo, dragged meters from the water's edge and systematically demolished. Not eaten, demolished. The massive leg bones are shattered, the skull crushed to get at the brain. No lion does this, no saber-tooth. This is the work of a new power, a new fear in the brutal landscape of prehistoric life. The old man, the leader whose authority is written in the scars on his hands and the quiet certainty of his gaze, holds his most perfect creation, an Acheulean hand axe. It is a beautiful, terrible thing of sharpened flint, symmetrical and heavy, the pinnacle of their primitive technology. It is a tool that has allowed these early humans to become apex predators, to butcher elephants, to hold their own against the great cats. For a million years, this tool has been the answer. Now, it is just a heavy stone. It is no answer to a dozen sets of jaws that can crush a hippo's femur like a dried twig. The new predators are a species of giant hyena, Pachycrocuta, and they are not scavengers. They are a hunting machine, a coordinated pack of bone crushers that have moved into the territory and are systematically clearing it of all competition. The clan is being starved out. Their hunting grounds are now killing fields where they are no longer the hunters. Their old survival skills are becoming liabilities, drawing them into confrontations they cannot win. Last week, 2 hunters were ambushed while tracking a buffalo. Only one returned, his arm mangled, his eyes wide with a terror that needs no language. The clan is trapped. Behind them, the savanna they have roamed for generations is now enemy territory. Before them, the great, churning sea, and jutting from that sea, a single, black needle of rock, a sea stack crowned with a cap of wind-blasted grass. Its sides a sheer, treacherous climb, a fortress and a prison. The old man has been watching it for days. It is a place of screaming gulls and crashing waves, a world with no trees, no roots, no animals to hunt. It is an impossible choice, a landmark moment in hominid history. To stay on the mainland is to be erased, to become another pile of splintered bones for future paleontology to uncover. To flee to the rock is to abandon everything they know, to gamble on a new way of living that does not yet exist. The decision is made for them. At dusk, the pack attacks the promontory itself. It is not a tentative probe, it is an assault. A wave of massive, shaggy bodies. They cause a cacophony of terrifying laughter. The clan forms a wall of fire and shouting and brandished hand axes. They hold them off, but they are besieged. The old man looks at the sea. The tide is low, exposing a narrow, slippery causeway of rock to the base of the stack. It will not last. This is the moment, the fulcrum of their existence. He gives a sharp, guttural cry, not of attack, but of retreat. He grabs his mate's arm and pulls her toward the causeway. The clan breaks. It is a mad, panicked scramble across the slick rocks. The young carried,
At last,
the old
they
stumbling,
collapse on the grassy
as the hyenas
bank.
nip at their heels. They reach the base of the stack and begin to climb, their powerful hands and feet finding purchase on the sheer rock face. They are halfway up when the tide surges in, turning the causeway into a churning channel of white water. They are safe. They huddle on the small, windswept summit, 28 souls on a needle of rock, and watch as the giant hyenas pace the shore, their monstrous forms silhouetted against the dying light. They are prisoners of their own refuge. Safety is a quiet kind of death. Hunger is its instrument. The world is now to places the world they can see and the world they can have. From their perch on the needle of rock, they can see the mainland, the familiar acacia trees, the herds of grazing antelope, the distant smudge of smoke from a grass fire. It is a ghost world, a paradise lost. And watching it is a unique form of torture. The world they can have is this: a windswept platform of stone, 100 paces from edge to edge, with nothing but the sky above and the churning sea below. Their magnificent Acheulean hand axes, the tools that made them masters of the savannah, are now heavy, useless rocks. There is nothing here to butcher. Their minds, a vast library of terrestrial knowledge, are suddenly blank. The language of the land does not work here. The first days are a slow descent into desperation. They are land animals, Homo erectus, and the sea is an alien entity. A great, heaving beast that only offers them salt and spray. They try to hunt as they know how, throwing stones at the gulls that wheel overhead. But the birds are too quick, too clever. They lie on the edge of the cliff, trying to spear the fat, silver fish that dart in the clear water below. But the distance is too great. The refraction of the water a constant trick of the eye. Their spears, their pride, splash uselessly into the waves. The children are the first to weaken, their cries becoming thin and reedy. An old female chews on a piece of tough seaweed she finds washed up on a ledge, her face a mask of disgust. But she swallows it. It is not food, but it is something. They are being forced into a radical act of niche differentiation, not by the slow pressure of millennia, but by the immediate, brutal deadline of their own metabolism. The breakthrough comes not from the hunters, but from a young woman named Swift. Her hands are never idle. On the mainland, she was a weaver of baskets from reeds, a braider of vines for rope. Her mind thinks in terms of connections, of threads and nets. She spends her days watching not the inaccessible antelope, but the spiders that have already made this rock their home, their webs glistening in the spray, trembling but holding fast in the wind. She sees how they catch things from the air. She sees the long, thick strands of kelp that the tide washes against the base of the rock. One day, during a low tide, she climbs down the treacherous rock face, ignoring the hungry eyes from the shore, and pulls a dozen of the thick, rubbery strands from the water. They are strong, more pliable than any vine. Back on the summit, she begins to work. She does not weave a basket, she weaves a hull, a net. Others, seeing the logic in her hands, join her. It is a slow, collaborative process, an act of collective intelligence. The men use their powerful hands to braid the thickest strands into a crude rope. The women weave the finer pieces, their fingers raw and bleeding. When it is done, they have created a new tool, a piece of technology born of pure necessity. They lower it over the cliff face that is thickest with the local megafauna, the nesting cormorants and gulls. At first, they catch nothing. The birds are wary. But then, a young gull comes in its first flight, blunders into the woven mesh. The trap works. They haul it up. A single, struggling bird that is, at this moment, more precious than any mammoth. There is no ceremony. The old man takes the bird, kills it quickly, and with a sharp flake of flint, divides the meager flesh and organs into 28 equal shares. The first piece, an act of unspoken altruism, is given to the weakest child. It is not a feast, but it is a beginning. It is the first word in a new language of survival. A generation is born and dies on the needle of rock. The world of the mainland becomes a story the elders tell, a half-remembered dream of trees and grass and drumming. The children born in this vertical world have no fear of heights, only a deep, instinctual terror of the flat, open land they can see across the water. They are a new kind of human. Their bodies leaner, their hands and feet tougher from a lifetime of climbing. Their entire culture has been reshaped by the sea and the sky. The center of their community is no longer the hearth, but the great midden at the edge of the cliff, a growing mountain of shells, fish bones, and bird skeletons that tells the story of their survival. It is the raw data of their adaptation, a library written in refuse. Their technology has evolved. The clumsy nets have become finer, more efficient. They have learned to make fishing lines from braided sinew and hooks from sharpened bow, lowering them into the deep water where larger fish dwell. Swift, now the old woman of the clan, teaches the young girls how to read the tides and the flight of birds. A new kind of knowledge that has replaced the old lore of tracking antelope. They have survived, but their survival has come at a cost. Their world is small, their numbers are static, and their genetic future is a tightening knot. They are a successful experiment in isolation, a living example of the processes that adopt to speciation. They are no longer just Homo erectus. They are becoming the people of the rock. The storm is the final test. It is a monster born in the deep ocean. A wind that does not blow but screams. A sea that does not swell but explodes against their fortress. For 2 days and 2 nights, they huddle in the shallow caves they have dug into the summit. The wind trying to tear them from their sanctuary. The spray is so thick they can barely breathe. And the roar of the waves is a physical blow that shakes the very foundations of their world. Their nets are torn away. Their precious supply of dried fish and bird meat is washed from its ledge. They are scoured clean, left with nothing but what they can hold in their hands. The primal fear of being swept away, of being consumed by the chaos of nature, is a constant presence. When the storm finally breaks, the world is remade. The sea is calm, the sky a clean, washed blue, but the mainland is different. A huge section of the cliff face has collapsed, taking with it the grove of acacia trees where they once watched the giraffes feed. The landscape of their memory is altered. A final, brutal severing of the past. The storm has also brought a gift. In the calm water at the base of their rock, trapped in a newly formed pool, is a large sea turtle. It is a bounty of meat and fattened shell beyond their wildest dreams. It is enough to sustain them for weeks, to give them the time they need to rebuild their nets, to begin again. As the hunters climb down to claim their prize, they see something else. On the shore, scattered amongst the debris, are the bones of 2 of the giant hyenas, their bodies broken by the storm's fury. The ghosts on the shore are dead. The land is, for a moment, clean, but no one looks at the mainland with longing anymore. The storm did not break them. It solidified them. They turned their backs on the land of their ancestors and looked to the sea. Their home, their exile is complete. It has become their identity. The people of the rock never returned to the mainland. Their small, isolated population, a footnote in the grand saga of human evolution, likely dwindled over the centuries, their unique culture vanishing as silently as a seabird's feather on the wind. Yet, their story is not one of failure. It is a radical testament to the single most defining trait of our lineage: adaptability. Faced with an existential threat, they did not simply endure. They reinvented themselves. They unlearned 1,000,000 years of terrestrial evolution and mastered a new world in a single generation. This is the core engine of our species' success. The ability to look at a prison and see a fortress, to look at an empty sky and see a larder, to transform the very nature of what it means to be human in order to survive. Their incredible story, lost to the deep currents of prehistory, is a powerful metaphor for our own time. We too, are facing new and terrifying predators, climate change, pandemics, societal upheaval that are driving us from the familiar landscapes of our lives. We too are being forced onto our own needles of rock. The question their story leaves us is not whether we can survive, but whether we have the courage and the intelligence to reinvent ourselves in time. That is the chronicle we are charged to keep. If you feel the isolation of their rock and the genius of their solution, then join us. Place your hand beside theirs and leave your own mark on the story. Their world is gone, but their choice echoes in every crisis we face. The edge of the world is not a place, but a moment of reinvention. What new ways of living wait for us on our own isolated shores?